All right, let's get right to it. We're going to fix the way you hang art, for good. And we're not just guessing here. We're going to do it using the exact playbook that professional interior designers and art galleries use. So have you ever done this? You spend, maybe an hour getting a piece of art you absolutely love up on the wall. You step back to admire your work and something's just off. It feels like it's just floating there, totally disconnected from the room. It's a super common frustration, but believe me, it is an easy fix. And here's the #1 reason why it looks wrong. You're hanging it too high. Way too high, most likely. But don't worry. There's a simple, game-changing rule that pros live by, and by the end of this, you're going to know it too. See, it all comes down to one magic number, a number that will honestly change everything about how you see your space. 57 inches. That's it. That is the secret. So let's break down why this one number is so incredibly important. This is what the pros call the 57-inch rule. It's the standard that pretty much all museums and art galleries use. And the rule is this. You hang your art so its center, its dead center, is 57 inches up from the floor. Not the top of the frame, not the bottom, but the very middle. So, why 57 inches? Is that just some random number? Nope, not at all. It's actually the average human eye level when you're seated. And if you think about it, that's how we spend most of our time looking at art in our own homes, right? On the sofa, in bed. This one little rule immediately connects the art to you on a human scale. It just feels right. Okay, so we know the rule. But how do you actually get the nail in the right spot on the very first try without turning your beautiful wall into Swiss cheese? Well, let's get into the simple math that makes it perfect every time. Now here's the crucial detail that most people miss. The nail doesn't go at 57 inches. It goes a little higher so that the center of the art lands at 57. Here's the pro formula. Step 1, measure your frame's height and just divide it by 2. So for a 24-inch tall frame, that's 12 inches. Easy. Step 2, measure the distance from the top of the frame to the hanging wire when it's pulled tight, like it's holding weight. Let's say that's 3 inches. Step 3, the formula is super simple. You start with our magic number, 57. You add your half height, which was 12, and then you subtract that little wire drop, which was 3. Boom! Your nail goes at exactly 66 inches from the floor. Perfect placement, first try. Now I know that was a little bit of math there. If you just want a cheat sheet with all of this laid out, plus a little calculator for different frame sizes, we've got the full in-depth guide linked for you right in the description below. It makes this step completely foolproof. Okay, but what if your room is a little different? While 57 inches is the gold standard, pros know it's a guideline, not a law. You can bend it. So if you have really tall ceilings, say over 9 feet, go ahead and bump that center point up to 60 or even 62 inches so the art doesn't feel lost. In a hallway where you're always standing and walking, 60 inches works a lot better. And in a dining room where everyone is always seated, you can actually drop it a touch, down to 54 or 56 inches. All right, let's talk about the most common scenario, right? Hanging art above a sofa, a bed, or a console table. This is where most people get it wrong, but there are just 2 simple rules you need to know to make it look absolutely perfect. The first one is the gap rule. Leave a nice, clean 6 to 8 inches between the bottom of your frame and the top of the furniture. Any more than that and the art starts to look like it's floating away into space. The second one is the width rule. Your art should be about 2/3 the width of the piece of furniture it's hanging over. These 2 rules work together to create a single, unified, totally intentional look. So what does that actually look like? Well, if you have a pretty standard 84-inch sofa, you'll want your art, or your whole group of art, to be around 56 inches wide. This scaling is what makes a piece feel anchored and integrated, not like a tiny postage stamp on a giant wall. And hey, if you want a full chart with all the math already done for different sofa and table sizes, that is also in the guide linked in the description. Okay, it's time to tackle the big one, the gallery wall. Now, this can feel really intimidating, I get it, but we're going to break it down into a simple, curated system that always works. So the most important principle is this. You have to treat the entire group of frames as one single piece of art. That means the center of the entire arrangement should hit that magic 57-inch mark. And you want to keep your spacing between the frames consistent. A nice, tight 2 to 3 inches looks really professional. Oh, and this is crucial. You center the whole grouping over the furniture, not necessarily the wall itself. And now for what is probably the single best piece of advice for hanging a gallery wall. If you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. Before you even touch a hammer, lay everything out on the floor. Get it perfect. Then, trace each frame onto some craft paper, cut them out, and tape the paper templates to your wall.
This lets you see the layout and move things around without making a single unnecessary hole. This tip alone will save you so much spackle and frustration.
All right, let's do a quick lightning round. We're going to cover the most common mistakes that, after watching this, you are now officially going to avoid. This is the part most people get wrong.
First, hanging it too high, which we now know makes your art feel like it's floating away. Second, totally ignoring the furniture below it, which just disconnects the whole room. Third, choosing art that's way too small for the wall. It just gets lost. Fourth, sloppy, inconsistent spacing in your gallery wall, which looks chaotic instead of curated. Fifth, forgetting the hardware math, which leads to all those extra nail holes. And finally, skipping the paper test, the one trick that guarantees a perfect layout. But you're better than that now.
So now you have the playbook. You know how to hang art with the exact same precision and intention as a professional designer. And that level of care, well, it deserves art that's just as intentional.
This is where real quality makes a huge difference. We're talking about solid pine frames that actually have some weight and presence on your wall. Prints on museum-grade archival paper, so the colors stay rich and true for years. And the best part? It all arrives at your door completely ready to hang with all the hardware you need already included.
You now know the rules that interior designers and galleries use every single day. The secret is officially out. So now, it's time to find art that's truly worthy of your wall and all the care you're about to put in to hanging it perfectly. So, the only real question left is, are you ready to add some genuinely good energy to your home? Visit Sparkycare to browse our collection of premium, ready-to-hang framed wall art. These are real, solid wood frames shipped fast right to your door. The perfect piece is just waiting for that